it when you stop by. Honestly, I really do. I'm John Zidar, aka the StockWizard. This is On Top and Hot, where we like to focus in on hot penny stocks. You see, I'm a day trader, and I primarily trade options and stocks under $5. And I'm always keeping my eye open, looking for a hot penny stock to share with you, so that we can all cash in on it. Well, I've got one that's caught my attention I want to share with you now, and I'm sure you're no stranger to this company. This is JFBR, ticker JFBR. Now, this company has had a lot of news. Regularly it comes out, and you're talking to somebody who would know. Because every day for the last couple of years, from 7:20 to 9 in the morning, I am posting all the pre-market news I can get out there. I'm putting it on Twitter, on my Discord group at Pennybois, and on Facebook. And then, in the afternoon, after the bell, I find an hour to put out post-market news as well. So yeah, I'm quite aware of all the news that JFBR has been putting out. And Friday, they put out some news. It was good news. I thought the stock was going to go up. I was watching it. It did not go up. It fell hard. She finished the day at $1.60, falling 36%. That was a 90-cent drop. So why are we looking at it? Because I think it's ready to come back up. It was a huge drop that hit a 52-week low that it is bouncing off of. It has come up and it is in a 200 squeeze, looking like it's ready to go to and through the 200 over its head. That is profit, ready to be taken. So that's why we're looking at it right now. So JFBR, this is a company based out of Israel. As I said, she did finish the day on Friday at $1.60, falling 36%. Now, this is a penny stock on the major exchange. She's on the NASDAQ, which is going to give you benefits over those penny stocks on the OTC. First off, there's no transaction fees buying and selling your shares on the major exchange like there is on the OTC. You get to trade major exchange stocks, pre-market, aftermarket. You never get to do that with OTC. There's also a lot more money, a lot more volume, and a lot more rules up on the major exchange. The rules are for the companies. The volume, the money, that's for us. All of that plays to the advantage of us, the investors. Why? Because it protects our investments. That's why I like penny stocks on the major exchange over the OTC, but I still trade the OTC. So JFBR, what are they? What do they do? Well, I'm glad you asked. JFBR is a holdings company. What they like to do is find smaller companies that have unique products, buy them up, have them merge into the company, and then they sell those products online, on Amazon. I know you're thinking, that doesn't sound like big business. Folks, there's lots of companies that only sell on Amazon and Walmart and do great business. This company's doing over $6 million just on Amazon. But now they're involving logistics. Now they're involving AI for product analysis. They're getting AI involved here to do even more than just selling products. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to do that by jumping on over here to the news first. Now, the strange thing here is that they only give us 6 pieces of news. I told you, this company's got lots and lots of news. So if you really want to get all the news, there are different sites you can go to. But again, some of the sites are limited on how much news you can get. I like to use stocktitan.net. I also like to use Yahoo Finance. But what I used to do, and I still like to do, is I will grab a portion of one of these headlines, I will copy it, and then I will run on over here to, let's go to Google, and I will drop that headline in Google. Now what I'm looking for is a news site that puts out news. So I'm looking up here, there's JFBR, Charmill, AI Invest, Fox 2, right there. Globe Newswire. This is a site that all they do is put out news presses. So I'm going to click this piece of news. It's going to take me to the site, take me to the news, and then right here where it says source, if I click that, JFBR, that's all I get. It's JFBR news in chronological order, and it's all up there waiting for me now. So I've got lots and lots of news here we could go through, but we're not going to. We're not going to go through all of it. Suffice it to say, the company has been making merger deals and acquisitions for a while. So you're going to see lots of news out there about these various products that they have. They are also now working with AI. They are using this for analysis on their products. They are using it for logistics. They are also using it with some of their products like their pest control. Their pest control app Actually, you can take a picture of any bug you have in your house, and it'll give you all this information about that bug and how to get rid of them and all that sort of stuff. So they are expanding now using AI capabilities, which is going to change the game for them. It's going to be more than just selling on Amazon. So that's what we got to take a look at. Now, I'm going to go back here to August, where they tell us they have invested into a crypto treasury program. Now, they tell us here they have 75 million committed to it. Not yet. They tell us that they have like 4.5 million already committed to this. They're going to be working with Bitcoin and a few other stable coins, and they're going to be turning them over, trying to make profits on these coins. Just like we trade stocks, they're going to be trading these various cryptos. They are looking to get the rest of that money. I'm not quite sure where they're getting it from. I'm going to let you do that due diligence, but they say they can even kick it up to 85 million if they hit some milestones. I'm not sure what those milestones are either. Rolling on up here. October 6th, Jeff Brands reports their first half 2025 revenue growth, their successful merger, their operating profit, and their logistic operations. Let's dive into this and get some information since they've laid it all out for us here. Let's see if I can get my highlights to come up. Boom! So they tell us here that revenues for the first 6 months of 2025 increased to 6.9 million, jumping 13% from 6.1 million. That's all Amazon selling. That's pretty good, wouldn't you say? Fort Technology, which is on the Canadian exchange, which was just listed, the company owns 75% of that. They reported their first half 2025 revenues of 4.9 million. That's Canadian business, United States business, around the world business. They also tell us that Pure Logistics, the company's wholly owned subsidiary that operates the company's logistic operations, generated approximately $612,000 in revenue, not very much, and it cost them $511,000 to get it. So basically, they ended up with $101,000 in profit. But this is a very new subsidiary that they've just started and launched, so it is just starting to grow, and they are making profits from the get-go. So it is looking good, just not looking big yet. In August of this year, the company announced the launch of an AI-driven crypto treasury program with a target program size up to 75 million. I think they've kicked that to 85 million. Focused on optimizing yield from 5 leading cryptocurrencies. They're going to be trading crypto, trying to make money. And finally, what has the company got in the bank? Well, they tell us their cash and cash equivalents as of June of this year were $6 million. Last year at the same time, we were at $2.5 million. That's a huge jump just from selling on Amazon, don't you think? Jumping on back to the news, mid-October, the company reports that Fort Technology launched that AI-powered pest control app I was telling you about. And then all the rest of the news here is all about the same thing. The company was entering into a non-binding memorandum of understanding for an exclusive multi-continent distribution agreement of an electromagnetic imaging AI homeland security technology. Wow, lots of words. Their most recent piece of news, they tell us they have now entered into a definitive agreement with Scannery, marking entry into the global homeland security market. They tell us that today, KeepZone AI, their wholly owned subsidiary, has entered into a definitive distribution agreement with Scannery, an Israeli deep tech developer of 3D imaging, electromagnetic, AI-powered threat detection systems. This transaction marks the company's strategic entry into the fast-growing global homeland security sector. So now we are breaking away from Amazon only. They're not just selling, they're getting out there with a service. Now, unlike walking through a scanner, one person at a time or something like that, it is not like that. It works with crowd control. They tell us here that Scannery's groundbreaking AI radar screening systems are capable of scanning up to 25,000 people an hour in open spaces without requiring them to stop. The system removes the need for the traditional checkpoints and physical pat-downs, delivering seamless, real-time threat detection in under 2 seconds using advanced 3D imaging and AI that automatically disregards phones, keys, and other harmless objects. It is ideally suited for airports, stadiums, transit hubs, critical infrastructure, sensitive facilities, and major events. Precisely the venues where demand for frictionless, high throughput security is surging. When you have that many people, you can't stop them one by one by one and really be doing a good job. So if you've got something that can scan the crowd and find danger, that is amazing, folks. That's going to change things a lot for us, for the better. They tell us that they have exclusive distribution rights for Canada, Germany, and the United Arab Emirates for an initial 24-month period. They have non-exclusive distribution rights in Spain and Italy. So as you can see now, the company is doing a lot. They've got a lot of different products that they're selling. They're involving AI. They're working with logistics. They are now working with Homeland Security. Revenues are coming in across the board on everything. So let's get some information about the stock now. Jeff's Brands relative volume over the last 30 days. She's been doing about 1.3 million shares on average. Friday, we did 38 million. That's a nice jump. I'd like to see more on the NASDAQ, but that's a nice jump. It's showing attention being given. Share structure for Jeff's Brands. Oh my God, that's right. The company did a 1-to-17 reverse stock split. So for every 17 shares you had, they gave you one new share equivalent to those 17 shares, including the price. But right now we have a super duper ridiculously low float. They tell us the outstanding share count is 500,000. Now this is all the way back in June. There may have been a public offering. There may have been shares being given to big investors in Wales. I'm really not sure. But as it looks right now, we've got ourselves a super duper low float. And when you're doing, what was it we did, about 40? When you're doing about 40 million shares a day and you've only got 500,000 shares in the float, that means every single share is selling about 80 times a day. Think about that. Every share had to go back into the queue and get resold, come back in and get resold 80 times. That is a good signal that this stock could start running hard. It's going to look like a short squeeze, but it's going to be supply and demand. There's just not enough shares to go around. And without having a lot of shares, you don't get much of a market cap. We're under $1 million. This is a micro market cap, folks, $885,000. Financials. What's this company doing? Over the last 4 years, the revenues have been growing steadily. We've gone from, almost steadily. We went from 6.5 million to almost 6 million, jumping to 10 in 2023, up to almost 14 in 2024, and they've been in the black on their profits. They're bouncing around here and there, but they are in the black across the board. Taking a look at their quarterlies, for some reason we're not getting any quarterlies here. You normally have that problem with foreign companies on the otcmarkets.com website. That doesn't mean they don't have quarterly reports. They just don't show up. Taking a look at the balance sheet now for Jeff's Brands. Remembering the 3 zeros. We got 3 zeros we got to add to any of the numbers on these charts. Cash and cash equivalent. Well, as of 12/24, they say that they had 2.5 million. But we just read in the news as of June of this year, they had 6 million. So that is a big jump up. And as you can see, it does roll around. Their cash in the bank rolls around a lot. Total assets, 4 years ago, we were at about 7 million. Now we're at 13.5, almost doubling that. Total liabilities, we're at 8.1, which means we do have stockholder equity in this company. We're not holding a bag. We, the investors, have $5.5 million of equity. Now, if you take the shares outstanding, all the shares they have on the market, about 500,000, and divide that into that money, 5.5 million, what would you get? You would get 11. What's that mean? It means that that price is worth $11 right now based on stockholder equity. There's this many shares and there's this much money. So the pieces of pie are $11 big right now without any more shares. Whew. That's why I'm expecting this thing to go up somewhere. It doesn't have to go all the way up to 11, but go up to 3, go up to 4, take less than 50%, and we're still making real strong gains on this stock. Taking a look now at the disclosures for the company. We've got a 6K that just came out here a few days ago on the 4th. This is their distribution agreement with Scannery. You want some details about that? This is where they're at, folks. You can get all those details yourself. I'm not going to waste your time. 424B3. This is going to be shares. Up to 5.2 million shares. Now, that's a strange number. It's not round, so I'm thinking this is a resale. Let's see. This prospectus supplement updates amends which forms? Filed supplement. Come on, where's the words? Uh-oh, this may not be a resale. For the purpose of following... No. I don't see anything here about resale. So they may be adding 5 million more shares right now, which isn't bad. I mean, honestly, when you have 500,000 shares on a major exchange, you're out of compliance. I do believe 500,000 up to 1.5 million, I'm not sure which it is the cutoff. It is the minimum you can have for the float. If you don't have enough shares in the float and don't fix it, you can literally be pulled off of the major exchange and thrown down to the OTC. The fix, just put more shares on the market. That's all you've got to do. Now, that doesn't mean they have to put 100 million shares on there. They could just put a couple million on there, lift it up, keep a low float, keep everybody excited, keep everybody interested. And that may be what's going on right here, because it looks like we've got about 5 million shares being added, which would give us 5.5 million in the float. And we had, 5.5 million in stockholder equity, which would make the stock worth $1. That's just one way to figure out the price. There's a lot of different ways to do that, folks. Going back to the filings here, we got another 6K this month. I always like to just poke my head in here, folks, just to see what's going on. This looks like it has to do with their financials. And if you do want to get into some good due diligence for the company, they have a lot of news. A lot of news. And it's going to take too much time to go through it all. So don't go to the news. Don't go to Google. Where are you going to get your due diligence? You're going to get it in these filings here. These 6Ks are the financials. They're going to give you all the numbers. They're going to give you how much money the insiders are making. They're going to give you all the deals they've made, the institutions that are invested in this company, how many shares they own. Everything you'd want to know is in there. So the company has a lot going on. They've made a lot of deals. They aren't just selling products now. They are getting into services. They are working with AI. They are working in multiple countries, not just the United States, lots of different countries in the EU, in Canada. So I think the company has a lot going for it. There's a lot of people looking at it. They've got a decent float, and the stock took a fall that I cannot explain, but it looks like it's ready to come back up. And if it does, that's easy money for us. So let's go take a look at that chart. Y'all ready to do some charting? Me too. I've got JFBR, Jeff's Brands, all set up on my free trading platform, Think or Swim. Got her opened up to a 1-day, 1-year chart. And as you can see, it's been depressed for the entire year. For 6 months, it was falling. And in the next 6 months, it's just been laying flat, doing nothing but waiting. Waiting for that 200-day MA to get close enough to make a move on. I think it's close enough. We had lots of volume on Friday, and the price is taking a bump, and our oscillators are starting to warm up. Now this blue line there, this is when they had the reverse stock split, that 1 in 17 in the middle of June. Now instead of seeing a big green bar here kicking that price up 17 times like they used to do, they don't do that anymore. What do now? Something stupid. They adjust the whole chart. What I mean by that is whatever the ratio of the split is, in this case it's 17, they multiply every price on the chart from that day back to the very first day this company came on the market. They multiply every price by 17. Let me give you an example. You see that 52-week high bubble? It says $54.06. Wrong answer. Was never that high. You've got to divide that by 17. So we're up there at like $3.40 or something like that. And here's the worst part. They're not going to fix it. They're not going to come back in a year and put the right numbers there. They're always going to be the wrong numbers. And that just infuriates me. Now we can trust the low bubble. That's real. This is $1.30, our 52-week low, which hit in the middle of November. And off of that low bubble, she bounced and just kept climbing. And that's why I like this. Off of the low bubble, she just kept climbing, and now she's in a 200 squeeze. To me, it looks very promising for some gains. Let's take a look at our 6-month, 4-hour view. So we've definitely got a downtrend here with a lot of push-throughs that falling 200. See all these green wicks going through it, and we like that. Now, we don't ever really expect it to break out when it gets over top of the 200. Even when it goes really high, we don't expect her to be breaking out because you don't break out over a falling 200. I'm promising you folks, you will rarely ever see that. What you get are breakthroughs, come back down and just continue doing that. If she does try to break out on a falling 200, chances are she'll get her butt smacked. She'll get pushed down under the 200, way down, further than where she started. So she keeps pushing through, coming back down to her normal area. She's hanging out around the 200, not going far. And then she hit this 52-week low and the game changed. That was the end of the downtrend. Our MAs started turning up when the price started going across every single one of them. All of our MAs are now starting to climb, and we are in a 200 squeeze, which has already occurred once and ready to continue. 200 squeeze is a very bullish pattern. You have the 200-day MA falling. You have the 200 Hull, Hull, rising. And the price is in the middle like a pinball. When those two 200s are coming together, that's a lot of strength and pressure. With the price in the middle getting squeezed, it gets a little scared. It wants an abrupt exit, and normally it'll take it to and through the 200 MA over top of its head, which is exactly where this went, from this low bubble through all the MAs to and through the 200-day MA. Then she came back down deep, really deep. This wick came all the way through 3 MAs, the 9, the 20, and the 50. Now, in my mind, I call this a pillar. I think of it as a foundation for a skyscraper. When I see a wick, not the solid bar stays above my MA, but the wick goes through multiple MAs, going through dirt, sand, rock, sediment. It's going in deep. That tells me this stock is about ready to go up really high. So right now, I see we're hanging out on this 50. We need to get the price to push up just a little more on the 50. We've already got a rising 200 haul, and we're underneath that 200-day MA. I think once this price pushes up with that huge wick, that foundation, I think this thing is going to rip hard up and over top of this. Now, if I back up just a little bit, I do believe we can get a trend line right about here. If I poke the top of this wick and I go across the top of these wicks, you see how it's laying right on there. And I'm going to bring it right down here. Look at that, folks. It's hit right there. It's hit right there. It's hit right there. And it's hit here. So we have a trend line. We need to get over this trend line for strength to come into the picture. And she's working on it right now. Everything is about ready to change for us. Let's come on down to the 20-day, 1-hour view. So there we've got our downtrend and a trend change, right? We've hit that low bubble. We've gone up over top of the 200, laid on it as it went flat. Here it was falling. All this time right here, it was just leveling out until it totally went flat right here, and then it took off. We had a run through the whole day and after hours. She went from about $1.85 up to $2.76. The next day, she fell down to that 20-day MA to $2.30. And then ran all the way up here to $4.26. That's a huge run, folks. But as I've told you over and over and over again, if you're going to get into a stock pre-market and it's running and running strong, sell before the bell. Oh, hell. That's right. Sell before the bell, or oh, hell. Because there's a lot of people that do not pay attention to the aftermarket, pre-market hours. They have no idea what's going on with their stocks. And when they turn on their computer at 9:30, all they see is the price is way the heck up there. And all they want to do is grab those gains. Sell, sell, sell. And that's what they do. Everybody starts selling, taking their gains. Well, when the stock starts falling, people start getting scared, right? It looks horrible. So they start selling more. Then it goes underneath MAs. It looks like it's crashing. More people start selling. And now you've got yourself a full-fledged crash. So she goes from $4.26 all the way down here to $1.50. We are just hovering just hovering over this low right now. Let me get my right line here. Now, she hasn't hit that low. I would expect maybe she would. She hasn't hit it yet. But what I see is a 200 squeeze on our short chart. So we have one on our long chart and we have one on our short chart. So what we've got here is a 200 haul rising, a 200 MA falling, our price right in the middle on top of the 50. Folks, this looks like it's ready to run to me. It looks like it's ready to go. Now what I need is some guidance so I know where to get in and where to get out on this stock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Fibonacci and I'm going to poke the top right here and I'm going to come all the way down to where she fell right there. These lines from my Fibonacci are now my supports and resistances. Normally I get my supports and resistances by attaching them to historical price points. These aren't doing that, but I can still count on them. The price is going to respect them because they're magic numbers. I don't know how else to explain it, folks. Fibonacci is a science we can't explain, but we can prove. We know it works, we just don't know why it works. And it works in a lot of arenas, including finances. So these are now going to be my supports and resistances. I will be getting into the stock just over top of these supports, and I will be getting out just underneath. This is where the strength and the weakness lies, over top and underneath. Now we got a big wide spread right here. I am pretty sure we're going to have a support and resistance. Let me grab my S&R line here. Right here, you can see everything has been laying there for quite a while. So we definitely got one there. And then over top of it too, there's a nice straight line going right across the top there easily. So there are my supports and resistances that I'm going to be using to trade on. And you can put those on your chart as well. So I'm expecting this to run, folks. We have the chart set up on the long and the short chart with 200 squeezes. We have lots of volume with a very low float. That's a mix for an explosion. How can we not have something go on when you have 500,000 shares, but you're doing 40 million shares a day? Folks, this needs to be on your watch list. Watch for the volume. Watch for this thing to take off. If she is on top of the 50 like she is right now, I'm expecting her to start to move immediately. So as soon as you wake up, get your eyeballs on this stock. It could start running very early in the morning, 4 o'clock when a lot of people get to start trading, 7 o'clock when the rest of us get to start trading, and who knows what's going to happen at the bell. JFBR, Jeff's Brands. It is the hot stock I am choosing to share with you. Now, I didn't do all the due diligence for you. You know I didn't. So please, do your own due diligence behind me. It is your money you're investing, right? Remember, the more you know, the more you're going to grow. See you, folks.